I was working late at the office when my phone suddenly buzzed. I pulled it out to find a simple text message, a picture. But when I looked at the image, my blood ran cold, and my body went stiff with shock. In the photo, my wife Anna was lying in a man's arms. From the way she looked, her flushed face, it was clear that she had just had sex. In an instant, I felt as if all the strength had drained from my body. I couldn't believe it, my wife, Anna, had betrayed me. Before I could process the shock, a voice message came through. The message was simple too. It was nothing but Anna's moans. I immediately called back, but the call went unanswered. I tried calling Anna, but her phone was switched off. In that moment, I felt my world spinning out of control. My chest felt like it was being pierced by 1,000 blades. It felt like the world was crashing down around me. I had worked so hard for this family, staying late at the office. And she had the audacity to betray me. I couldn't swallow this insult. I had always prided myself on never wronging Anna. We met through mutual friends. In our 5 years of marriage, I had always been there for her, handling everything from her family's big issues to the smallest details. When her mother had a heart attack and was hospitalized, it was me who paid for her hospital bills. As her husband, I had been completely devoted to her. I gave her everything I could, and where I couldn't, I found a way. Yet in the end, I was repaid with this. I slammed the gas pedal and raced home. Repeatedly trying to call the number that sent the photo, but the calls went straight to voicemail. From the image, all I could see was Anna's face, no sign of the man she was with. I arrived home, fury burning in my chest. When the door opened, I saw Anna sitting on the couch with our daughter, Sophia, watching TV. At that moment, Anna seemed completely unaffected, as if nothing had happened. Seeing her so calm filled me with rage. I thought to myself, this woman really has a nerve, sitting there watching TV, acting like everything's normal. If it weren't for Sophia being here, I would have slapped this worthless woman across the face and demanded a divorce right then and there. As I stood there fuming, Anna turned and noticed me. She suddenly stood up and walked toward me, saying, "Brian, come to the bedroom. I need to talk to you about something important." I stared at her, thinking, this slut is finally ready to face the music? If she was going to confess, I was going to make sure she left with nothing, and that I got full custody of our daughter. But I didn't have concrete proof yet. I still didn't know who the man was. I followed her into the bedroom, waiting for her to say whatever she had to say. To be honest, I was still feeling tense, my palms sweating with cold anxiety. If Anna decided to confront me now and asked for a divorce, not only would I have to face her infidelity, but I might also lose custody of our daughter. On top of that, everything, our house, our car, would be split down the middle. I would be left with nothing, and she'd get away with all of it. Just the thought of it made my heart heavy with worry, and a deep anger began to simmer inside me. But I forced myself to push it down. "Anna, what is it you need to tell me?" I was the one who finally broke the silence. "Brian, there's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" Anna's face was cold, and anyone could tell that her mood wasn't good. "Brian, these years, since marrying you, I've had to endure a lot." When I heard that, my heart sank. I had guessed it right, Anna was finally going to ask for a divorce. I felt suffocated, like I couldn't catch my breath. All these years of giving my all, what had I gotten in return? I bitterly laughed to myself. But Anna had said this before. She always felt like she'd been shortchanged by marrying me. She compared herself to her friends, who married men from Fortune 500 companies, living in huge houses, wearing designer clothes, traveling the world, sipping on fancy afternoon teas. I used to feel guilty when I heard it. Over the years, I knew that things hadn't been easy for her and Sophia. But deep down, I had done my best. I was practically at her beck and call. I had met every one of her requests, whatever I could do, I did. I stayed silent, not responding. In my head, I was already running through different scenarios, wondering what I could do if Anna really asked for a divorce. Suddenly, Anna shifted gears, saying, "Brian, I've put up with some hardship for you, but I won't let our daughter suffer. Don't you agree?" I looked at her, confused, unsure of where she was going with this. But I nodded instinctively. "Sophia is about to start elementary school, right? We need to make sure she gets into the best school, Hart Elementary." When she mentioned Hart Elementary, I couldn't help but show a slight change in my expression. Hart was the best school around, no doubt. The education there was top-notch, but the tuition was steep, and it was far from where we lived. If we wanted her to go there, we'd need to buy a place near the school. At that moment, I realized something. I paused for a few seconds before saying, Sophia doesn't need to go to such an expensive school. The one nearby is just as good. Brian, what do you mean by that? You don't want Sophia to have a better life? You don't care about her future? Anna quickly adopted a moral high ground. Accusing me. I do care, Anna, but you know our financial situation. Your mom's hospital bills last year, the house repairs at her place, everything's come out of our pocket. We don't have the money. I tried to explain patiently. I didn't understand why she was suddenly so keen on sending Sophia to Hart Elementary. She had never shown this much interest in Sophia's education before. In the years we'd been together, she'd barely done anything for the family. She was either out enjoying herself or on her way to have fun. As a wife and a mother, she didn't deserve any praise. If I weren't so in love with her and didn't want to destroy this family, I might have divorced her a long time ago. I thought for a moment, and then a terrifying idea flashed through my mind. The terrifying thought that crossed my mind wasn't anything else. It was the suspicion that Anna was trying to take money from me. Of course, right now, I could only guess. After all, Anna was framing it as something she was doing for the sake of our child. I couldn't just flip out at her yet. So, I tried to stay calm and said, Anna, I really don't have the money right now. But Anna suddenly responded, I know you don't have any, but your mom has money, right? When I heard that, my head spun. My mother did have some money, but that was compensation my dad had received after an accident on a construction site, money that had cost him his life. I couldn't hold back anymore. Anna, how dare you say that? You know how my mom got that money. It's my dad's life savings, meant to take care of her in her old age. And you think you can just take it? I practically shouted at her. I couldn't believe the audacity of Anna. How could she say something like that? Brian, what do you mean? I'm not doing this for myself, I'm doing it for Sophia. Besides, your mom only has you as a son. In the end, that money will come to you anyway. Your dad's compensation was $800,000, and we only need $700,000. Your mom lives in the countryside, $100,000 would be enough for her. Shut up. I snapped at her. To think someone could be this shameless. But to my surprise, Anna's eyes suddenly reddened, and she said, fine. If you won't ask, then I'll take Sophia to your mom's myself tomorrow and see if she'll give it to us. I was speechless. Hearing that, I nearly exploded with rage. My mom was just a simple, hard-working woman who had spent her whole life working for her kids. After my dad died, I'd tried several times to bring her to live with us, knowing how hard her life was in the countryside. But every time I mentioned it, Anna would make excuses, saying my mom had bad rural habits and that she smelled, which would negatively affect Sophia's upbringing. Back then, I loved Anna so much. And my mom was okay with staying in the countryside. I never brought it up again. Now, looking back, I realized how wrong I had been. And if Anna really took Sophia to my mom, I knew my mom would give her the money. We nearly drained our entire family's savings to marry Anna. And now she had the nerve to go after my dad's compensation money. Once that money ended up in Anna's hands, it would be impossible to get it back. I was more convinced than ever, Anna had cheated on me and was now trying to get her hands on my family's money. I held my breath, silence weighing heavily between us. Until I finally said, I'll go handle it. Saying those words made me feel as if all my energy had been drained from me. When Anna heard me say that, a smile finally appeared on her face. That smile made me want to slap her across the face. But I held myself back. What I needed to do now was find solid proof of her affair with that man, and then sue her. Then you go tomorrow. We'll look for a house once you're off work this weekend. Okay. I pretended to compromise with Anna. Her smile brightened even more, and suddenly, she leaned in and kissed my cheek. But that kiss only made me feel disgusted by her. The next morning, I told Anna that I was taking the day off to visit my mom. She smiled and told me to go quickly and come back safely. As I saw that smile on her face, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly to myself. I had taken the day off from work, but I wasn't going to visit my mom. I was going to find out who Anna was sleeping with while I was away. I parked my car near the house, finding a secluded spot to stay hidden. My eyes stayed fixed on the place where my house was. A deep determination forming inside me, I was going to gather evidence of their affair, no matter what. As the minutes ticked by, I felt a mix of tension and anticipation. And just then, my phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID and froze for a moment. It was Anna. After a brief hesitation, I pressed the answer button. "Brian, are you almost here?" "Yeah, I'm almost there." "Oh, by the way, you'll be coming back a little later today, or maybe tomorrow." "What's going on?" My mom called, she needs me to come back urgently. So, if you come home, there won't be anyone to cook for you. And you can just stay at home and keep mom company," Anna explained casually. "Okay. Sophia's fine, I'll take her with me." "Alright." I just responded to whatever she said, not asking too many questions. About half an hour later, I saw a car pull up at the entrance of the neighborhood. It stopped not far from where I was parked, and I couldn't help but glance over. Then, someone stepped out of the car. When I saw who it was, my world went cold. No way, this couldn't be Tomas, Anna's ex-boyfriend? I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. Anna had once been in a relationship with Tomas. But they had broken up. I'd later learned that Tomas's family had opposed their relationship, which led to the breakup. After Anna married me, she swore repeatedly that she had completely cut ties with Tomas. But now, it was clear, they hadn't just stayed in touch, they were still sleeping together. I suddenly remembered a saying, when you're done playing around, you come back to settle with an honest man. And here I was, an honest man, stuck with the mess they'd created. I thought about them, using my bed to have their affair. And my blood boiled. I almost couldn't stop myself. I was so furious that I almost ran to the fruit stand at the entrance of the neighborhood to grab a knife and charge in, but I stopped myself at the last second. I thought about my mom and my child. I couldn't let these two get away with it. If I went in and end up killing them, I'd just end up in prison. I knew where Tomas worked, and I also knew he was married. This photo, this infuriating photo, had to be sent by Tomas himself. They slept with my wife. And then sent me pictures to rub it in. The rage inside me only grew hotter. I swore to myself that I would make them pay, and the cost would be something they couldn't even begin to imagine. I took a deep breath and lit a cigarette, forcing myself to calm down. Once I managed to steady my nerves, an idea suddenly crossed my mind. In my bedroom, there was a computer I had left on standby. It's the one I use to handle work files when I need to catch up on things after hours. All I needed to do was press a key, and the screen would light up. Then, it hit me, a brilliant idea. I quickly called up my college classmate, Ryan. After graduation, he'd gone into computer tech and always bragged about how good he was with computers. Even though he hadn't done well in our major, his talent in this field was undeniable. After school, he had really made a name for himself. When he picked up the phone, I could hear the grogginess in his voice. "Brian, what's up? You know I'm not a morning person, right? Ryan, I need your help. My wife, she's cheating on me. As a man." Saying those words felt like swallowing broken glass. It was hard to admit this kind of thing, especially to another guy. But I had no choice, I was at my breaking point. Ryan was immediately wide awake, his voice sharp now. "Where are you?" "I'm coming over right now. Let's go take care of this." His reaction nearly brought a tear to my eye. He was the same loyal friend I'd had during our college days. But I told Ryan to stay put. Instead, I explained the situation briefly. Ryan was the one who'd set up my computer all those years ago. And he knew how to get into anything on it. I told him I needed him to turn on my webcam and record whatever was going on in my room. Ryan was silent for a moment before joking, "You're gonna spy on your wife like that? Man, that's pretty messed up." I shot back, "This is just to gather evidence." Ryan agreed. I hung up with him and drove straight to his place. By the time I arrived, Ryan had already set everything up with my computer's webcam. He even mentioned that some of the things he saw were too much for him to handle. He also said that he didn't expect my wife to be such a vicious woman. I sat down, opened the video, and watched as Anna and Tomas were caught on camera. The footage made my stomach turn. I could hear Anna's voice in the background, "Tomas, don't worry. Once Brian gets his mother's money, I'll divorce him. We'll be set for life. I love you so much, Anna," Tomas said, his voice full of affection. They hugged each other. And I felt like I was suffocating. Anna then added, "Did you transfer the money from the bank account?" "Yeah, it's already done. I got Mom's account set up, and the money's all there. When we divorce, I'll get half the house. All told, Brian's a pushover, getting a few $100,000 from him won't be a problem." When are you going to divorce that old woman? Soon. My career's taking off right now. Her dad's retired, but still has some connections. Once I get a promotion, I'll be able to divorce her. Shouldn't take more than a week. I watched in stunned silence, my blood boiling. And eventually turned off the video. I couldn't stomach it anymore. Ryan could see my pain, and he was quick to offer a solution. Brian, if you want, I'll go with you right now and handle this for you. We can make them pay. I exhaled sharply and shook my head. No, I've got my own plans. But I need you to help me out with something. I asked Ryan, can you get me Tomas's contact information and his company's number? Sure, that's no problem. Let me dig it up for you. Also, if you can, get me his wife's phone number. Ryan paused, curious. What do you need that for? I shot back coldly, you don't need to know. Just get it for me. A cold, ruthless glint flashed in my eyes as I waited for Ryan to deliver. I was determined to make them suffer, to crush them with retribution that would destroy their lives and reputations. The plan quickly formed in my mind, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. Less than half an hour later, Ryan sent me the information I'd asked for, Tomas's and his wife Olivia's phone numbers. I didn't go back home that night. Instead, I had a few drinks with Ryan. He tried to comfort me. But words couldn't soothe the fury and pain I was feeling. Only successful revenge would give me any peace. The next day, I returned home. Anna had always handled the finances, keeping my salary card and managing my company deposits. Every month, she'd give me a couple $100s from it, claiming she was helping me manage money. I never knew exactly how much was in the account, but now, I realized it was empty. I still needed that card, though. The transactions in the account would be crucial evidence of her financial moves. Especially when it came time to take her to court. If she'd committed adultery and transferred assets during our marriage, she'd be walking away with nothing. Anna immediately approached me when I got home. Her eyes were on the money. I couldn't stand the sight of her. I clenched my fists but held my composure. My mom's put the money in a fixed deposit. Anna's face shifted to confusion, but she didn't question me. How long will it take before you can get it? Not long. 2 or 3 days at most. But since I'll be at work, I won't have time to go get it. I'll have my mom transfer it to my salary card. Just give me the card, and I'll send her the number. She didn't hesitate at all, handing me the card without suspicion. She probably thought I was still clueless about everything. But she forgot the one thing that always holds true: if you want to keep a secret, don't do anything you don't want anyone to know. I left the house with the card, claiming I had something to take care of. At the bank, I quickly checked the transaction history on the card. One by one, I saw the transfers to her mother's account. So that's why there was always no money in the house. I felt a bitter rage building inside me. Why would she do this? I had done nothing but treat her with honesty, yet she still betrayed me like this. When I returned home that night, Anna was in a surprisingly good mood. I forced a smile, pretending to be in a good mood too. But I wasn't smiling. Inside, the hatred was growing stronger. Before bed, Anna began talking about the future, about Sophia going to Hart Elementary and becoming successful. Maybe even about having a second child. I nodded along, pretending to be interested, but my mind was elsewhere. Anna usually went to sleep early, around 9 p.m. I would wait for her to fall asleep, then work on my computer. I'd always kept the lights off to avoid disturbing her. Tonight, though, I wasn't working. I was going to use her phone to send the video to Tomas's wife, Olivia. I wanted to see how Tomas could get any promotions after this. After a while, Anna finally fell asleep. I could hear her light snoring from the bed. I quietly moved over, grabbed her phone, and unlocked it with her fingerprint. Once in, I searched for Olivia's contact info, and added her on social media. I knew this request would be accepted immediately. I'm the other woman in your husband's life. Sure enough, Olivia accepted the request almost instantly. Before I could even say anything, she fired back with a message. Who are you? What are you talking about? A cold smile curled on my lips as I replied, I'm the other woman. Didn't you hear me the first time? She responded confidently. You're lying. My husband would never do that. He loves me. It was clear Tomas had played his role well at home. Olivia's response showed just how much she believed in him. I didn't waste any more time. If you want to know if he loves you, just watch this, I typed, and immediately sent her the video. I watched the video send, and within minutes, Olivia, Tomas's wife, started bombarding me with a series of angry messages, calling Anna the other woman and asking what I was trying to do. I didn't respond to any of her messages. Instead, I simply removed her from my friends list. Some things are best left unsaid. I set Anna's phone back in place. Around half an hour later, it rang. I glanced at the screen, and my stomach turned when I saw the contact name, Bestie. Then it hit me like a cold slap. It was Tomas's number. That vile woman had saved Tomas's number under Bestie. I was disgusted, realizing how much of a fool I had been. All this time, I had been the one in the dark, completely oblivious while was being played. The phone rang a second time. This time, Anna got up to answer. After a few words, she gasped, "What? You're in the hospital? Okay, I'll be right there." She was putting on a show, and it was a performance worthy of an award. After the call, I casually asked, "Anna, who was that? Why so late?" "It's Sarah," she replied, pretending to be concerned. "She had an accident and is in the hospital. I need to go see her. Let me come with you." "No, stay home and take care of Sophia. I'll go alone." "All right, but be careful." Anna quickly got ready, dolled herself up, and left the house. As soon as she stepped out, I followed her. She hailed a cab, but since I hadn't returned the car I rented, I simply got into it and trailed her. I initially thought they would meet at a hotel, but to my surprise, they went to an empty square. It was late, and there was hardly anyone around. I parked the car, hid in a spot where I could clearly see them and overhear their conversation. Tomas's face was red with anger, and I could tell this wasn't going to end well. "Anna, what the hell? I told you I'm going to divorce my wife. Why can't you wait? Why do you have to push me to divorce her now? Why are you saying that?" Anna seemed genuinely confused. "Look at me." Tomas snapped. "Look at the slap mark on my face. You sent what we did together to my wife, making it impossible for me to be happy. If you think I'll let you off easy, you're wrong." Before Anna could respond, Tomas slapped her across the face. Anna wasn't one to back down. Having been pampered at home, she retaliated quickly and slapped Tomas back. Tomas was beyond furious. With a swift kick, he knocked Anna to the ground. I pulled out my phone and started recording everything. Anna, who had spent so much time getting dressed up for this meeting, was now on the ground, screaming in pain. She never expected this outcome. "You bitch, I tell you, if I am not having a good life, you will not have an easy life either. I will tell these things to your husband Brian tomorrow." With that, Tomas stormed off and drove away. I stood there, coldly watching them both. A twisted satisfaction twisted in my gut. I didn't waste any time and quickly hailed a cab to return home. About an hour later, Anna came back. Seeing her bruised and battered face, I couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. I feigned concern and asked, "Anna, what happened to you?" "Brian," she said, playing the victim. "Someone hurt me. Can you help me get revenge?" "Who? Who hurt you?" I pretended to be worried. "It was my ex. When I went to see Sarah tonight, he showed up and started bothering me. When I refused, he started hitting me. Brian, that guy is awful." She lied so easily, making me sick as I watched her act all innocent. I couldn't hold back anymore. I raised my hand and slapped her across the face. Anna stood there, stunned, her eyes wide in shock. "What? What did you do that for? Are you crazy? Crazy?" I sneered. "You're the one who's crazy. You're sleeping with Tomas and trying to steal my money. I have all the proof. Here, take a look." I tossed my phone at her. The moment Anna saw the video of her and Tomas together, her face went as pale as a ghost. "Brian, wait. Let me explain." Even at this point, she still tried to make excuses. I looked at her pitiful face, disgusted. This woman was beyond vile. But I wasn't going to let her spin her lies anymore. I spoke coldly, "Explain. You're done. I'm divorcing you." Anna immediately collapsed at my feet, clinging to my legs like a victim. "Brian, please, give me another chance. Think of our child. Please, just forgive me." I felt nothing but contempt for her. My heart was stone cold. I shoved her off, and she crashed to the ground. You cheated on me, and now you want forgiveness? Not a chance. Seeing that pleading wasn't working, Anna changed her approach. Fine, divorce me, but we split the assets down the middle. I scoffed. You cheated, and you think you're entitled to anything? You don't get a dime. Her face twisted, and for a moment, she gained some of her confidence back. Brian, don't think I don't know the law. You won't get everything just because I cheated. I'll still get half. I couldn't believe how shameless she was. I was so disgusted, I almost slapped her again. You think you'll get anything after cheating and trying to hide our assets? I leaned in closer. You really think you'll walk away with anything? Let me remind you, you're not just a cheater. You're a criminal now. At those words, Anna's confidence shattered. Her face drained of color. And she collapsed onto the floor as if all the strength had left her body. A part of me felt vindicated, but the satisfaction didn't last long. Brian, she whimpered, her voice cracking, just think of what we've been through. I didn't listen to another word. I turned and walked into the bedroom, scooping up Sophia in my arms. We left the house together, and I took Sophia to the countryside to stay with my mother. The next day, I hired a lawyer and filed for divorce. The outcome was no surprise. Anna lost completely. She walked away with nothing. And the assets she had transferred were returned to me. She also had to pay me for emotional distress. Justice may be delayed, but it never fails to show up. Thomas's fate was even worse. He was directly reported by his wife Olivia, who said that he had cheated on his wife and was corrupt and illegal in the company. The trial was even live-streamed online, making a huge stir locally. I watched the entire broadcast. Watching Tomas on screen, crying and begging for mercy, was a moment of pure satisfaction for me. In an instant, he went from being on top of the world to rock bottom. Later, I heard that he couldn't handle the harsh conditions in prison, and the constant abuse drove him to madness. He developed a mental illness as a result. His fall from grace was entirely his own doing. As for Olivia, she was ruthless in ways I hadn't expected. She somehow managed to rally a group of online users to expose Anna's actions all over the internet. The backlash was brutal. She was ridiculed and cursed out by everyone. People shouted at her in the streets, calling her a homewrecker, a disgrace, and a woman who deserved to disappear. Anna couldn't handle the shame and the constant mental torment. She eventually cracked under the pressure and fell into a deep depression, developing her own mental health issues. Anna's mother later came to me, asking me to take pity on Anna and help her, considering our past. But I turned her away. Anna had earned every bit of her misery. After all that, I felt an immense sense of relief. The satisfaction I felt after seeing them both suffer was unlike anything I could describe. As for me, life slowly got back on track. My daughter didn't attend Hart Elementary, but she still did well at her new school. My mother, after working so hard her entire life, finally came to live with me in the city. I thought back to all the times I had failed her, and I promised myself I would take better care of her from then on. You might be wondering who sent me those photos. It was a girl named Zoe, who had been hurt by Tomas in the past. She reached out to me with the evidence I needed.